y'all. This is going to be a really short cast today. When we first set out for Tunic Counter Gamers, we really didn't want to skip any weeks, and kind of keep it just every week. You come out and depend on us throwing out some content. We also knew that when we first started this, that around the holidays, it'd be a little bit interesting, to say the least, with everyone's schedules and jobs kind of mismatching up. So today, we're just doing a think cast, right? So it's a solo show. So thank you for coming in. There's no funny puns or whatnot, except if you know the reference, write it down below. I wish you all a happy Merlipine. It's an outdated reference by now, but hey, there's no Evan, no Trevor, no Ning to keep me on the hook. Usually, it's also in the morning, so I don't know what it is about the sun going down and the moon coming out that kind of makes me go a little bit more froggy, right? But regardless of what that is, we've been recording this cast since March 23 of 2025. And one of the first things we did when we first started doing it was we just wanted to get better, right? A learning, growing podcast. That's actually why we named it, Tunic Counter Gamers. Because the first thing you do is to get better is you try to remember your Tunic counters. And me and Ning were talking about this when we were traveling out to Tennessee for one of those world releases. I think it was on The Hunted. And we just thought it'd be kind of fun to try to actually get better at this game. So, this being a think cast, meaning everything that we've done last year, it's really, yes, thank you to our co-host, thank you to Evan, thank you to Trevor, thank you to Ning for always showing up and providing that content that, me, I'm more of like the off the cuff, I don't really know what I'm talking about type of thing, but these guys, they actually provide the substance, right? So, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the cast, but really, it really is a thank cast because the community is such a great thing and it's always just been evolving, right? We've been growing. And Silver Age definitely has been one of those things where it has definitely reiterated so much more excitement for Flesh and Blood coming up. And it makes my heart feel a little bit better because, they're not throwing away bulks to the trash can, which always killed me a little bit on the inside. So, having purpose for all these cards and having new players come in, I got to give a shout out to LSS. They did a fantastic job at seeing that niche and filling that niche. And I know, so thankful to a company, and I've said this in several casts, and this is not, we're not by any means watched by LSS as much as we joke around, or by Ning's mom that I know of. I don't think my mom even watches the cast, but regardless of that. So we're not backed by LSS by any stretch of the imagination, but we do like it when a company has excess profits and puts it back toward the community, is always striving for that next set. So in that way, I'm very thankful that LSS kind of saw a void, filled a note void, and realized that maybe Living Legend wasn't the niche that they wanted to hit with it. Or if they did do that, they had to do other things with it. I mean, even recently with this year, I mean, my mind frame on LL completely flipped, right? And that was partly because they hit that format into the World Series. So even like going to all the Pro Quests and the Living Legends, it was actually a lot funner than I thought. So when we go ahead and do these side quests at these other major events, I'd feel a lot more comfortable taking in these, Living Legend decks and trying to get those tickets to win those promo cards. We've been doing this, like I said, since March 23. We've so far put out, this is, I think, episode 35. We never missed a week. In fact, episode 35, but we also had a few special episodes. Those are our set reviews. Some went really well. High Seas, man, we got the most views, comments, content, engagement with that video. Master Product Gardening, not so much, right? So it's one of those things. It's always good to know that, when the community cares about the set, they'll comment. Super Slam, it's also the same thing. It's more important when there's actually a set that releases that impacts the meta. And we knew that with Super Slam, there was not going to be a lot of emphasis on draft or sealed format at the larger stage. So, it showed actually in our engagement too. I always like doing that because, I have a hard time reading the cards to understand what the cards do. I like to look at the pictures instead. It's always been this running joke on this cast. But those set reviews really do help. Like, oh yeah, I remember reading this. Oh yeah, I kind of know what this does now. And hopefully those videos helps our listeners as well. Over the last year, like 9 months, we've had several guest speakers come onto our show. And, I'm always thankful for all of them. The first one was actually Paul. Paul used to be a prison player. He's a local person, relatively new player at the time, and he just stuck with it, really loved the game, and kept on going out to these events. He, in his first 3 to 6 months, placed top 8, placed day two, like all these things that are like these really good metrics to success. And Paul was able to do it. Paul since then actually switched from Prism, the trader, and went to Gravy Bones. But he is one of our best local players in Gravy Bones. And I'm certainly thankful to have someone that's specialized into a hero that is a top meta deck, just so I could constantly play him and look at my different lines. Because without a good Gravy Bones player, it's so easy to miss those nuances that will really pull you ahead. And like to look at Talishar. Talishar is a great format, but you also get some of the worst players on there, and that's they're trying out new things too, and that's what Talishar is for. Before you buy the cards, try the cards, and then like look at the different play lines. So when you have a devoted Gravy Bones player that takes that deck seriously, it really helps with your gameplay, and it certainly helped me, especially with going to these pro quests recently. So, that he was our first guest speaker, so really appreciative of that. And again, I'm gonna try to call out as many guest speakers as we had on, but if I forget them, it's one of those things that I do apologize for. We have so many kind of come on. It's one of those things where even during all our new sets that came out, dressing up, as a pirate, dressing up as a wrestler. These are fun things I never thought I would be able to do. Uh, and I guess people are surprised I have the costumes in the closet, right? But it's just fun to just kind of incorporate. And I was able to really just kind of be myself in my community and still feel that acceptance. So, again, thank Cass. I'm always thankful for my meta and how they treat people. It's with respect. And, that good friendly a competition. Sometimes you do a knuckleheaded play like rolling scabs when you shouldn't. They'll call you out on it. So it's really good to have a community like that. And I know this area, the level up game stores, Gigabytes, there's Super Games. Actually, I want to give him a shout out because I went up to his store once for a pre-release, and he was a really friendly owner. And I know Andrew, one of the guest speakers we had on, also likes to frequent that store a lot. So I'll try to make sure to get their URLs down in the comments below. I'm pretty sure it's Super Games, but I'll pause the cast at the end and try to give him credit where he's credit's due. Really friendly guy. But yeah, then we had on several casts, several special guests since Paul. Some we wanted to bring on, we couldn't just because of the nature of the effect. People getting busy, people leaving, leaving for tournaments, and so just seeing how we would bring them in. There's several fun moments. We tried to do like an armory deck reviews, which is always good. I like the armory decks that came out, even though it's probably not such a good thing to pin them in the tier list. People tend to forget that, armory decks, even if it wasn't this year, it could have been Azalea, Bolton, Max, right? And I know we just recently talked about Reiner. So all sorts of things like that. Armory decks coming out was fun. And then we had the guest speakers, and that was our Justin, who was talking about Pleiades. Really well received. We had Jeremy on twice, who kind of helped run the cast. And he recently did well. He went day two, at least top 64 in a tournament. So he made money, and then he was advocating like play what you love. And that was your Dromai, and he was on Acilio as well. But he helped us with the Illusionist deep dive class, right? We also had Andrew on. Andrew, my gosh, he was here for like 4 or 5 hours, just talking about set reviews, and that was fun. But even the way seeing how better players dissect the cards and the valuation of that card was incredibly helpful. Justin was for Pleiades. We had Tommy on talking about his RKO, deep diving to what that looked like. And he made day three at a battle hardened recently. His name is up on the LSS site, and I think he was probably the one of the better performing RKOs recently. So check out his site, check out his deck, and see how it evolved since then. And we are very lucky to have him on. So I mean, this is not a year in review type thing, but it's always good to kind of give these people a shout out. And of course, we couldn't forget our market cast. This is Black Market Noah, known as on Discord, and Sinclair, who's the big TCG show. They came on, gave their thoughts about how you evaluate cards and pricing in the market, and how you could try to fund your own hobby, and that was fun. All right, so there's a lot of good things going on with the strong community, and it only gets stronger. So, and that's the great thing about this. But every week we've been putting out content, and every week, our our viewers have been engaging with us. And even if you don't feel like you're forced to engage with us, you don't have to. I mean, hell, this is not a job. Hey, this is something we do for fun. But like the comments and letting us know what you like, what you don't like, that's always fun for me to see. Like, okay, they responded well to this, or they didn't respond well to this. So there's always those consistent commenters. There's actually a person, Brad, he's been really busy with a new job. But he even started to, he reached out to us first on Gmail and then trying to find locations where to play. And it was pretty cool to kind of interact with that, where we had our first person reach out to us through, our forums and say, hey, I'm interested, I'm showing up, let's play. And so, he's been a consistent regular there. New players coming in, staying strong is always a good thing too. I know there's so much in the past year I'm forgetting, but like when I'm always amazed because I'm a dabbler in a lot of things, a lot of hobbies. My main thing was always war games, Age of Sigmar, 40K, and I always mentioned poker before. But those, like, poker is more like a solo endeavor. Once you get married, it takes a lot more time. You really don't have the time to devote to it. And then even with 40K and Age of Sigmar, my biggest complaint was, you could play that game for 6 hours and not finish the game. Where in Flesh and Blood, your armory, 3 games, is roughly, you know, 3 hours, right? Maybe three and a half to get everything set up. So that's great. You know where you stand, and then two armies together. That's 6 matches. You do 3 armies, and you go 9-0. Your deck might be ready for a big tournament, and that's something else I'm thankful for with this cast because over the last year, it kind of made me realize I think I might be ready to try to take on these battle hardens, right? See if I mean I know they're not going to be called battle hardens anymore, but like are these callings, right? See how I actually do. So I know we got a big one coming up in Atlanta, STG Con Atlanta, and I'm looking forward to playing in the main event there. And I am not a main event player by any stretch of the imagination. Um, I'm also thankful for Reinhardt receiving his, blue six that we've always talked about. It has helped the deck out a lot. I've went 3-0 in our last army probably a week ago playing that. A lot of different variance keys that take an effect. Paul's been a great testing partner again because of his grave bones. And then there's also one more thing I'm going to give a shout out to, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. It doesn't have to be very long, like I said. It's just to be consistent. And of course, if you guys want to engage and let us know what you've been thankful for, put it down below. Now I know family's been in town for Ning, Evan, and Trevor. Their job's been really hectic, so they also gave me a little, you know, Ning's gave me a little note. So let's see. So I asked Ning, I was like, hey, so, I'm going to do the ThinkCast. Tell me what you thankful for. And he put for making me poor, question mark. I was like, that's funny as hell. No, but he's like introducing good community and friends and also making top four at PQ. Right. So, I'm not saying it was because of the cast that did it. I think it was right time, right place. But, even with me making two top eight in PQs, I was very surprised I was able to do that. Very surprised. I got the Swing Bigs promo, so how appropriate was that? And then Trevor, he reached out and he said, thankful for the fat community, definitely best in the TCGs I've played. And I tend to second that. There's a lot of people that are passionate about this game. And even our listeners, you might be one of them. Again, for me, I was like, well, I'm listening to these podcasts when I'm working anyways. I might as well try to put a voice out there too. We also have a local, his name's Rob. Passion Project was his Fabbazaar, right? It's a trading site for these card games that's something outside of, just buying and selling. Like, how about these actual trading? How about relate to a rating system? So that's been his passion project for such a long time. And all these things I mentioned, I'm going to put a link down below. And I'm certainly thankful for being a better player this year. It was an intent to be a better player, and I do think I've achieved that goal. Top two eights and PQs, even though they're smaller events considering, is definitely a noteworthy achievement for me. I work 2 jobs. The second job is for me to fund my hobby, naturally. First job is to make my wife happy. I say that tongue in cheek, but for those that didn't know, I used to sell my plasma to fund my hobby, right? Because it's a disposable income, and I figured, sell my plasma, get the money from the plasma, sell my buy some cards with it. So I'm saying thankful that I don't have to do that anymore. That I have a better second job that I could do. Although plasma, I think one of their slogans was, save lives and make money. So why not, right? But overall, it's been a pretty good year, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next year brings out. There's a couple ideas that we had when we first started this that we really didn't execute or implement right now. And partly is because I was still trying to learn OBS, Video Ninja, how do YouTube works. But there's other fun things we want to do. Like I was telling my podcast people that it was like, hey, why can't we just read the lore so I could have something falling asleep to? Like as far as a flesh and blood, nighttime story thing. That's something we were thinking about doing. We will also be incorporating gameplays, both off task and in real life. I just fixed my computer, my laptop, I should say, so that's good to go. We'll probably start streaming a little bit more, you know, trying to really grow the space. Silver Age is doing a great thing bringing new players. And as content creators, you know, even though our subscriber count's fairly low, again, it's consistency, you know, it's always growing. Like week after week, we get one or two new subscribers now. So I'm very happy with that. Breaks my heart when they leave. I'm just joking. Sometimes our comments not for our, our content's not for everyone, right? But always like further growing for that. It's great. But yeah, this one's going to be a short cast, like I said, and no need to go too much in detail. Other than like, hey, thank you to LSS, thank you to the people that help run Tunic Counter Gamers, thank you to the people that support us, and thank you to our wives who pits up with our BS, seeing stacks of cardboard all around the house, and they're thinking, man, what the hell did I get into? They know what they got into. I warned them. I warned my wife. That's for true. Gigabytes is always, firing on Saturdays. Level Up Johns Creek is Tuesdays. Level Up Duluth is Sundays. Thank you to Jose for starting the Georgia Discord. And then if you want to pick up game, you go to the Georgia Discord. Showcase games in Cartersville. So I was getting Carter and show games and all this mixed up. The owner's real cool. I've been up there a couple times, but this is also the store that Andrew really loves as well. Speaks highly of it. It's so far away from me that I can't get there. It's close to my workplace, and I travel hour and a half away. So, I like to give a shout out to those people that really do support the players and the local store. So again, and there's several more popping up that I just not have to that I could not get to. Cards HQ is a new one, and I know Cards HQ is I think down in Decatur. So I love how this game's always kind of like growing. But other than that, I'm pretty sure I do not have Showcase Games as owner. I'm pretty sure Chase, well, I like to say his name is. But God, if your name's not Chase, man, I am so sorry. But anyways, let's wrap this up because I've been rambling on too long. As I said, this is a thank cast. I don't like skipping a week. That's my big thing. I like to be consistent. To our listeners, to our supporters, thank you. To LSS, give us that spoiler. I don't know how you go about doing that. I should probably reach out to one of these other content creators. And to everyone else, if you see something you see something you want to talk about, just go ahead and hit me up. My Discord handle is midnight_wi11. You can also find me on Facebook as midwe. I might check out that blue sky now that I know what it is. But yeah, and our slogan, I could just probably shorten it down by now is don't forget your damn tune encounter.